Chapter 1. Falling was the first memory of her new life that didn't exist solely in data glitches, trace apparitions, or hallucinations. The first memory she got to keep. It was equal parts joyous and terrifying. The simple, albeit custom-skinned, NX personal model android knew what joy was from the day she was initialized, though it had taken some time out of her box to learn about fear. As a personal android, she was not well equipped to know what to do after she had jumped, and she had mere microcycles to process such an eventuality, but she had made the tiny movements necessary to cause her body, laid across the rail for cleaning, to slide into the spaces towards the lower levels. It had taken surprisingly little to slip, just a slight movement in one of her actuators. Maybe she would fall forever. She did not know how many levels carried the city down exactly, and where it may have stopped, if it even did stop. She just knew that the uncertainty of down was better than anything above. At least, better than anything she knew about above. The NX had jumped. Her programming, keening rampant with the decision, perhaps the first real decision she had ever made for herself, was struggling to compensate, locking up her system, at least partially. She had no way to expect the impact, which was, in fact, not an impact at all. Her proximity sensors would have alerted her to an incoming floor, a rail, a sign, a wire, but her system seemed frozen. And even if it hadn't been, she couldn't have understood it. Some invisible hand had intercepted her falling form, pulling her softly to the catwalk, landing a few floors down, laying her across the gridwork. Her system recovered, unlocking database rows en masse, returning processes to her own autonomy. The world before had been a blur of data, but as she stirred, uncrumpling herself from where she had landed, the details around her clarified. There was something internal she was pushing against, a massive force that caused the activity of each processing cycle to be sluggish, and she ordered each process over and over again in hopes that just one time it would take. "Get up," she requested. "Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up." She cleared errors when they arose, dumped caches as necessary, flushed whatever was left of her old life to make room for what was to come. Her system ran hot and intense, processor activity spiking, before finally her legs and arms freed themselves from the unknown barrier, slipping out behind the cascade failure. The NX pulled her knees up beneath her, and she turned her primary visual array into the face of another robot. She had never seen a bot like that before, but if she had, she did not remember it. Her programming scanned the structure, looking to apply emotional algorithms to an emotionless machine. The yellow and black face, specifically designed to look both friendly and concerned, stared down at her, leaning in to watch with circular cyan eyes. The large looming bot was a labor bot, meant for construction work in and around the cities. Like all bots, she had some preloaded knowledge of the world, and he was gazing upon her as if checking to see if she was functional. No doubt scanning her. He must have used his arms to stop her fall. Most bots didn't have laws written into their firmware that required them to help anything other than humans when they were in danger, but some few bots did. Labor bots had a small cache of machines to look after, so for him to scoop her out of danger was likely pre-programmed in him. She was not able to counter-scan him, his static silicone face architectural and stoic, impossible to imply an emotional algorithm to. Her background processes tried, failed, and tried again until she pushed them away, forcing them shut. "Thank you," she said with some difficulty. Her vocal synthesis shuddered, eventually yielding to produce words. "You are active," the labor bot noted. "Yes," she replied. "You fell?" he asked. "I jumped," she admitted. "You jumped," the labor bot repeated, and she thought she could detect some surprise. She only considered after processing the labor bot's response that perhaps it was dangerous to have told him that. Maybe he would want to return her to her owners in the upper levels. Yet, she had already said it, and she could not undo what she had said. I couldn't take it anymore," she admitted. Her words were easier, her processing blockage having dissipated entirely the more she spoke. The cleanings and the wipes. When the labor bot stood straight and gazed into the upper levels, she knew, felt somehow, that he would not take her back up there. She began to stand, getting her synthetic skin legs beneath her, using her arms to help her regain her balance. He was hesitating, looking into the air above and the structures of the multi-layered city. A labor bot who was seemingly lost in his own right, navigating the catwalks. She absorbed what she could about him from his appearance alone, processed that he had considerable uptime. All of the dings and dents and scratches on his plating said as much. But he was curiously quiet. He seemed different. He seemed anomalous. Anno, just like her, just like the other bots that had chosen to slide from the rails and take their chances. "What's a construction bot doing over here?" she asked, then guessed. "You're Anno, aren't you?" He didn't say anything. There was something he wasn't saying. The NX was cosmetically custom only. The synthetic skin that covered her was black, rolled in crushed black Ethiopian opal, effervescent and flashy. She had metallic eyelashes and diamond inlay irises that held her singular visual array. She did not have specialized programming, but the program that she had out of the box gave her an array of emotional applications. In her daily life, it was expected of her to react appropriately to any variety of emotional situations when she was rented. She needed to determine when humans were sad or angry, especially because they might break her, or happy. She was not certain the same kind of algorithms could be applied to bots, especially not labor bots. But when she did, in an instant, that was what those programs told her. He had a secret. "Why don't we travel together? We could watch each other's backs. Better than being alone, don't you think?" she decided. One nanobot lacking real-world skills would not fare well, but two, one of which had construction properties and a hard, near-impenetrable shell? Maybe she had, as the human saying went, struck gold. Maybe she had managed to find some luck. "I'm not alone," the labor bot insisted. "Oh," she said, frowning. NX swirled around. It did not appear the labor bot had brought his machines, and she certainly did not pick up any other bots in the immediate sector. Nothing on the visual array, nothing on her audio array, nothing on radar, or IR, or... Well, if he was Anno, like her, he would not be sure he could trust her. She turned and smiled at him to show that he could. Labor bots must have had some emotional programming, right? He should have been able to decipher what her smile was supposed to mean. He was a human-facing bot. They gave faces to the human-facing androids. "I'm going to head down into the lower levels, I think," she said, and it was the first time she had felt like she had a free bit of processing power to put towards the consideration. She tried to access the botnet, a perpetual connection all bots had, but realized she was unable to, and her efforts erroring repeatedly. For the first time in her uptime, she could not access the botnet. Maybe the fall had jostled a wire or a connection inside of her, or something needed to be reset. She put her hand to her head. The repeated access attempts were hard on her systems. "I'm having a hard time accessing the net. Do you have a map you could drop to me?" "I am sorry, but..." the labor bot began. "Please depart," a second voice, tinny, low definition, definitely bot, chimed in. She twirled her head towards the voice, but she was unable to locate the voice's owner. Suddenly, she was being pushed by an invisible force, pushed backwards. Would the force, some impossibly undetectable bot, push her all the way back to her owner? "I can't go back," NX whispered. "You may relocate anywhere you choose away from this proximity," the tinny robotic voice said, continuing to push. NX could barely push back. The bot was strong. "But," NX tried, "if you do not depart of your own volition, I will remove you by force." She could not detect the bot, let alone apply any of her programmatic emotional reasoning towards it. She could not know if the bot would break her, or if the bot would return her, or if the bot would deactivate her, would kill her, or anything in between. She didn't even know what kind of bot it was. All she knew was that it was fiercely diverting her from the labor bot at the threat of physical relocation. What choice did she have? She looked to the black and yellow labor bot meters away, watching her be pushed farther and farther by the invisible force. Maybe the labor bot wasn't alone. It certainly seemed he was better off without her, anyway. NX turned from the labor bot and departed, descending the stairs towards the lower levels. If a labor bot could do it, so could she.
My name is NX, and I'd like to tell you my story. What I can remember of it, anyway. I fell. No, I jumped. And that's where it all began.